Chris, good to see you. How's things?
Yeah, a bit cold, Rich.
You're lucky, to be fair. Warm up. What sort of week has it been, Chris? Because I imagine you on Sunday, maybe even Monday morning, you must have looked back on that West Brom game and what was it, 22 shots on goal, and yet you come away with nothing. Frustration's probably an understatement, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we felt we did enough in the game, especially second half, to get something from the game, but we didn't. So we have to look at ourselves to say that we've not been clinical enough again. Not been the first time this season that those sort of words have been used. And back to work this week. And as always, there's no magic formula to it. It's just hard work, sticking together, working on your skill sets. Encouraging the players to do what I believe they can do, and looking at the next game for a big performance and result. I thought the performance was good enough. I think the performances in quite a lot of the games have been good enough to get results, but ultimately they're not. And as I said, we have to look at ourselves for the position that we're in.
I know you say that it's on you and not clinical enough, but you look down the results this season, and aside from the opening day and that game against Chelsea, you haven't lost a game by any more than one goal. Is it about being clinical, or do you need a bit of the rub of the green as well? Ball to go in the back of the net for somebody's backside? What is it?
Well, I think I think one of the things, obviously, with the Premier League, and especially at this particular moment, with the amount of coverage that we're getting, and really grateful for, is that everybody sees the game. So I'll let them decide if it's bad luck or it's us not being clinical enough. From my point of view, taking the luck out of it, of course, we've had enough opportunities, we've had enough ball, we've had enough possession, we've got the ball into the areas that we want to get it in. We've been on the front foot, especially in the game on Saturday night, and yeah, that's the position that we're in. Is we've not taken enough chances and not taken enough big moments at big critical times of games, and we had them at the start of the game against West Brom, through the game, and even at the end, to get something from it. So deeply disappointed group, but we have to go again, and however that goal comes, however the result comes, we'll take that, obviously, as all teams would. West Brom did. They took it. It wasn't I think from my point of view, you look at it and go, I think possibly we deserved a little bit more from the game, but we didn't, and that's the cold facts of professional football, and especially at the Premier League. If you don't take your chances, if you're not good enough in both boxes, and it wasn't. Ultimately, it was a mistake by us for their first goal, come through a crowd of bodies, and then for us to punish them. We've had enough, as I've said, but we go again. We know we're a positive group, as you know. I'm a positive manager. And we look for the next game, as I said earlier in the interview.
Looking at Leicester then this weekend, I know you spoke at length last season about how much you learnt from that first meeting at Bramall Lane, when it was a bit of a hit and grab performance from Leicester, and then obviously you made it clear how disappointed you were with your own team's performance in the second game. How tall an order is it, or has it been made a little bit easier by their involvement in Europe, and seemingly over the last 4 games, results have been a bit indifferent for them?
I'm not looking at anybody's results, anybody's feature list or whatever. We've just got to concentrate on our group and getting the maximum out of our group players and getting a big performance, because that's what the Premier League's all about, regardless of what Leicester have done over the last month. The previous month, they had an outstanding start to the season, and they've got a brilliant manager that's achieved it everywhere he's gone. And and it is a powerful football club. Since obviously the sort of the Thai influence over the years, you look at the things that are happening at that football club, and they really are fast forwarding into trying to break into the top echelons of the Premier League, and they've got a manager that certainly can guide them there, and the players that they've signed, and they've got some good players. So it's a huge task yet again. Yeah, the 2 games, different sort of games. We were, I thought it was a really good game in the first one at Bramall Lane. Great experience for us. Went toe to toe with a good side and got done with a fabulous ball and a finish and a brilliant finish for their winner. But toe to toe, and I expect us to go like that again against them. Because that's how I feel my team is playing, and it is at its best when we do that. And we've done that with all sorts of teams this year. Not just the teams that we've played recently in the West Ham game and the West Brom. We've done it against the likes of Man City and Liverpool. So we'll do it again, and hopefully we come out on the right side of a result, because we're getting there. But we can't just keep saying we're not a million miles off. We've got to make that happen, and we've got to go just beyond the line to get that result that we're after.
Final question from me. There's been a lot of discussion over the last month, obviously, about whether you should have 3 or 5 substitutes at a Premier League game. Yesterday's Premier League meeting, the subject never even came up, let alone for to be voted on. Any surprise on your part?
Well, as I said all along, if the vote goes against what I'm looking to support from our point of view, then I 100% accept that. So that's as far as that is. If it wasn't even brought up, it wasn't even brought up. If it does get brought up in future Premier League meetings, and managers and chief execs push for that to get brought up, and it goes to another vote, the fourth vote or the third vote or the fourth vote, then if it happens and it gets voted, then Chris Wilder and Sheffield United will accept that decision.
Brilliant. Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, Rich.
Hi, Chris. Looking at
Hey, Adam. You okay? Sorry.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much, Chris. Looking at a couple of players. Ender Stevens, will he be back this weekend?
Yeah, again, I've got a close Adam. Give him the opportunity of being involved in the squad. We've still got obviously a couple of days, so there's a chance there. There's a chance there that he's worked well. He's been out on the grass, as we say, and he's been working extremely hard to get himself back in contention to be involved.
Any other fresh absentees for the weekend?
No, Ethan is obviously trained as well, so he's another one that we'll make a late decision on. But as I've said, getting back to where we need to be with everybody fit and available for selection. So Ethan and Ender, obviously the two big ones that have not been involved in the last couple of weeks. But hopefully that they'll come through training tomorrow, and we'll take it from there.
Is Messay fit enough to start if selected?
I wouldn't say so. The amount of time that he's had out, obviously, he's had 2 or 3 months out now. Since not played any games, very few games pre-season. Came back and played against Derby, and obviously got injured against Preston, and obviously missed the first 9 games of the season. But he's getting there. Thought it was a decent contribution. He'll be a little bit disappointed that he didn't finish that opportunity that he had. But as I've said, he's an important player to us, and for him to be fit, his assists and his goals are an important addition to what we need to win games of football.
Did Keane Bryan do enough at West Brom to get another shot at left centre back?
We have to wait and see, Adam. But I thought he did okay. Obviously, making your debut in the Premier League, and it's not like if he's been playing behind closed doors games. That's been obviously an issue for not just us, for every team in terms of setting games up for the boys that have not played any football. But he's trained well enough this week. His contribution, as I said, maybe first 5 or 10 minutes, just getting a foothold in the game. But after that, he grew into the game, which I expect him to do. I have to wait and see in terms of the team selection for Sunday. But I didn't certainly think that he was the reason for us conceding a goal, for us to be on the back foot, which I didn't think we were. I didn't really feel in any part of the game. Maybe 5 minutes after they scored, we rocked a little bit. But when we got ourselves back into it, and he wasn't part of us not taking our chances and being clinical enough to get the result that we wanted.
Had a couple of people asking us about Jayden Bogle, what his situation is right now. Is he just unlucky that he's behind others in the pecking order?
Yeah, I mean, I can only play 11 and, changes as well. We've had far too many changes to that back five. So to make another one, especially with a young player, I would, as you can imagine, in these times, would have liked my experienced players to play. And I think you know what my experienced back five is that have played for quite a while at this football club. That's not to say that we haven't got any faith in Jayden. And if it was an injury to George, I felt George wasn't doing enough, then there'd be an opportunity for Jayden. But he's a player for the future that can go and step into us, step into the team. If you look at, as I said, you look at quite a lot of our recruitment in the summer with Max and Jayden and Rian and Rammers. They're young players. So 2 of them are involved at the moment. 3 of them are involved at the moment, and Jayden's pushing. But he's going to be a good player. He's a good player already, but he's going to be an even better one. But that was the reason. I didn't. As I said, with the amount of changes that we've had at left wing back and left centre half. I think to make another one, at this stage of the season and how we've gone so far, was the reason that I haven't.
We spoke with David McGoldrick earlier. He said that himself and Billy Sharp have been sort of putting an arm around some of the younger strikers and being pretty vocal with them. Have those two got a key role to play within the squad, even when they're not featuring on the pitch?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. They're both great guys, and they want to do well themselves. I get that, and they want their football club to do well. And I'm not surprised about that. That's what the change room's about. That's what our senior professionals are about. As I said, it's not about them. They would like to be involved. I've got to pick a side, which obviously I feel I need to do to the best of my ability at the moment, and that'll always bring up debate whether they should be playing or they shouldn't. But they've been pushing right the way through, and if that time is for them to come into the team, they'll come in, and if they're not, they play a part coming off the bench or they play a part during the week. It's important that, as I said, the senior professionals show that leadership as well, because they're the ones that have been through this period as well as myself and the staff.
Do you have enough belief from the performances against West Ham and West Brom that results will follow if you keep the performance levels as high as they have been?
Yeah, of course.
And in terms of Leicester this weekend, of course, Fulham went there, won earlier in the week. Does that give you confidence that anybody can really go to anybody in the Premier League and get a result?
I think it's been said for quite a while, because we've done that and we can do. We haven't at the moment. We get that, but it happens. It can happen, and we'll look and assess Leicester as we've done everybody else. Regardless of what Fulham have done there or what West Ham have done or the results that Leicester have at Man City and at Leeds United and other big results that they've had. This is the nature of the division. It's a very tough one, and I think, just as much as I respect Leicester City and Brendan and all these players for what Brendan's done in his managerial career and what he's doing now at Leicester City, I'm 100% certain that he's not looking at Sheffield United way on Sunday afternoon as an absolute gimme. Looking at our results, looking at our performances, looking at our recent performances, because I don't believe there isn't that arrogance in the league, and these guys have got to the top of their profession by being humble and knowing that the next game is the toughest. And I'm sure Brendan will recognise that just as much as what I'm recognising that in the position that we're in, at the moment at Sheffield United.
I mean, Leicester currently fourth, finished fifth last season. Of course, won the league a few seasons ago. They're not considered as one of the big six, but should they be considered alongside them?
Yeah, they're having a go, aren't they? They're having a go off the pitch and they're having a go on it. So that's a perfect combination. And they want to crack into that one. And as I said, you've got to do it off it and you've got to do it on it. And that's what they're trying to do. That's what Wolves are trying to do. You know, there's a whole host of football clubs are trying to do that. And you know, they're a very well run, structured football club that have moved forward in every season. And obviously, you know, a bit of a dip after they won the Premier League, which you possibly can understand it in a way, the amount of effort and what they put into that season to fabulously win the Premier League against the odds. But then, you know, they bounce back, and you look at the squad, you look at the quality squad, you look at the things that are happening at that football club, and you know, they're set to go well for a few years, and they've got a good future ahead of them.
How have you felt seeing fans back at other clubs when Bramall Lane at the moment remains empty and will be empty this weekend?
Let our fans back in as well. Let our fans back in. You know, as I said, I'm delighted. You know, and you know, it is an advantage, even though it's a small advantage, but it is an advantage. And I've talked long and hard about it, about the effect that our supporters have had over the team over the last 4 years, and how together the football club's been, and the players, how they thrive and embrace the pressure and the support that our punters give our team. So even the smallest amount would have been fabulous on Sunday. I think I'm allowed an opinion as one of 20 members of the Premier League to say that, you know, it's brilliant that everybody's come back. But I should imagine I'm saying the same things as what Steve Bruce is at Newcastle, and Marcelo and all the other boys who would be delighted to have some sort of support if they had that opportunity to do that at their particular club. So, yeah, still not going to change my opinion, as you can expect. But hopefully, you know, we'll get supporters back inside Bramall Lane, because I'll be delighted, and it'd be a special day when that happens. Even though obviously the numbers won't be to where we would absolutely love them to be.
Just finally for me, Chris, several caveats involved, but how pleased are you that the Premier League has finally agreed extra funds for the EFL to assist clubs in the Championship and League One and League Two? I know you've spoken about the pyramid quite a lot. Yeah,
delighted. You know, this is a unique football pyramid. It's not Germany, and it's not France, it's not Spain, it's England, it's the English Premier League, it's the English Championship, League One, League Two, non-league steps 5, 6, 7 and 8. It's ours. It's what we're proud of, and we have to look after it. And I'm delighted that we're looking after it. I should imagine that, you know, that people would like a little bit more to help them along the way. But, you know, from my point of view, that there's been a decision, a conclusion to talks between the EFL and the football pyramid and the Premier League. They've come to an agreement, and just make sure that, you know, nobody really suffers like they've had to do over a period of months, and looking forward as well.
Thanks, Chris. Good luck this Sunday.
Cheers, Adam. Thank you. Thanks, Adam.
Chris, how are you, mate?
Not bad. You?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. Obviously, you were quite fortunate with injuries last season, but they've really bitten hard this time around. How much better off do you think you might have been had you have had everybody fit from the start this season?
Yeah, there would be no downside to us having a fully fit squad and a settled squad, especially with the way we play, Paul. You know, it's not just being chucked together. You know, we've our recruitment, as you can imagine, is tailored to the way we play. You know, we don't switch formations because of, you know, maybe the players and where they've come from. We don't just switch over, constantly and have that ability to do that. I can do that. I could play 4-3-3. I could play 4-2-3-1. I've played those systems. I know how they work. I know the dynamics of it. But our system relies on the players playing and showing a degree of consistency in terms of team selection. And especially the likes of, as we've talked about, the players that have missed. But it's good to get Flake back, good to get Messay back, hopefully getting Ender back and Ethan back as well. We need everybody fit, Paul. It's as simple as that. And everybody firing and me having the opportunity of choosing, from a 25-man squad. I think we've been really unfortunate this year in terms of injuries. I think one soft tissue injury, all contact injuries. Flake's a contact injury. O'Connell's a contact injury. All of them have, Messay is a tackle. All the injuries that we've suffered are quite unfortunate, and it's not down to conditioning and the way we work away from Bramall Lane up here at Shirecliffe. But most certainly, part of our success last year was the consistency and the continuity of especially the back eight, and giving us a platform to go and have consistent performances and obviously results as well that follow that.
I don't want to sound like the harbinger of doom, but you'll be aware that no team has ever recovered from the position that you're in the Premier League. Does that in itself mean you almost have to create a siege mentality, or was it already there anyway when you came up first time?
Paul, we've had that all along. We've had it, when we're favourites out of League One. We've had it going into the Championship, trying to get out, that running that we had. We were underdogs. We were definitely underdogs last year. And nothing, for me, there's nothing really changed from last year to this year, really. In terms of the thought process, we are, and we've got. Well, I accept that all along, and the players will all along, and they'll stick together as they always do. So yeah, there's whatever stats people come up with. I understand that it's a stats game as well. So I understand that and respect that. There's three. I've said all along, I've been vocal on it and consistent with it. Another season in this division is a huge achievement for Sheffield United, and especially off the back of the results that we've had so far. But as you can imagine, there's going to be, as long as we show a little bit of consistency now with performance, pick up some results and keep in contact and in touch, then who knows what happens going into the new year. But I totally accept and understand that we've got to pick up some results sooner or later, and just make sure that gap doesn't increase and becomes too far to catch up, and we don't give ourselves too much to do. But it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be tight. We'd love to make it tight, obviously, but I understand the stats that you're chucking at me, and we have to get on with it and get over it.
If you could pull this off, would it top promotion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would it be your greatest achievement as a manager?
Yeah, I think so. And I think from a club's point of view as well. From a club's point of view, whatever the club has done for a long, long time, there's all sorts of stats in there. What we had since '95, Neil Warnock's year, and our 2 years, 3 years in the Premier League over 25 years, and you've seen how the Premier League has took off. Even before that, the amount of times that we've been in the Premier League over our history. So it's something for us to focus on. I mean, some people will be critical of me setting targets. Some people will understand it, but I think sometimes you come to a stage where you possibly have to give clarity and a message to everybody where we're at and what we're fighting for, and that's certainly the case for us. So I think it's all relative, Paul, as always. And but long way to go, as I've said. The underdog, the siege mentality, as you've talked about, is there. I think it's there with everybody, really. Even the top clubs, they have that sort of mentality. Sir Alex Ferguson, the best manager that this country's ever, the Football League or the Premier League or the old, whatever it was, has ever had managing it, in my opinion. He created that. So I'm not trying to copy anything, but I think every side that wants to do well or wants to achieve something relatively has to have that attitude that it is all them together. And we've certainly had that for a long time here as a football club. When we have produced our best performances relatively as well and got our best results, whether it's staying in division this year or getting promotion out of another division, it has been done with the attitude it's us against the world, and I understand that, and we're fine with it.
Final question from me. I think Villa stayed up with 35 points last year. Do you set a points target, or does that become dangerous? Do people take their eye off the ball, perhaps, when you do that? What's your approach to it?
Well, I think we're looking at the next sort of 30 games, whatever it was, 28, 29 games or whatever. We've got to win some games. We've got to win the games up till Christmas, and obviously going into the last 20. If you split them 10 and 10, you've got to get some wins in all of them. It's very, very unlikely that you're going to win 6, 7, 8 games in the Premier League on the spin in the pressure part of the season in the last 10 games. So we have to keep picking up results. Now, who knows what points total it's going to be this year? Nobody knows. It might be less, it might be more, as long as you've done enough to stay in the division and you're above the line is the achievement, and that will only sort of pan out, and we'll have more of a clear idea of that going through the season. But it's just important that we go into the next game believing that we can go and get a big result. And I've said this before in my time at Sheffield United. We've got to do a lot of things right to beat Leicester City. As I said, they're an outstanding side. They've got some great players, fantastic manager, club that's really going forward and pushing on. But if we get a result on Sunday, it's not going to be the most shocking of results that the Premier League's seen and the biggest upset that the Premier League's seen. But it will be an upset because of form and because of position. But we're capable of that, and my players know that, and we've got to go and stop the talking and get on with it.
Well, man, good luck. Thank you.
Cheers, Paul. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Hey, Jake.
Hi, Chris. Hi. If I could talk about Brewster with you and David McGoldrick. He told us earlier today that he thinks Brewster, he can get to the top one day. How would you assess Rian's time at Sheffield United so far?
Too early to talk about Rian's time at the club so far. It's too early to talk about that.
Okay. Have you been impressed with how he's sort of conducted himself in training and when he's been playing, though?
Attitude's been great. He obviously had a first tough few games. Debut at Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea, so it was tough for the young man. Got a bit of a whack on England duty, and obviously he's been involved in the last 2 games against West Ham and West Brom. But his attitude's been fine. He's a good character. He's a bright, bubbly boy, and he's got a career in front of him and a future in front of him. But to discuss his future after what 3 Premier League games at Sheffield United, I think is a little bit premature at the moment. But happily willing to do that further on down the line.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, obviously you got playing Leicester at the weekend. Jamie Vardy, he scored in this fixture last season. He seemed to enjoy it quite a lot, being a Sheffield Wednesday fan growing up. I know you've spoken very highly of him in the past. What's it going to take to stop a top player like him?
Well, they ain't just got one good player. They've got a lot of good players. So, we have to be out of possession really good and do a lot of things right defensively and be tight and solid. And and do all the good things that from out of possession a team has to do against some good players at the top of the pitch. So it's not just about one. And then we you know, we're not a sitting team as well. We've got to take the game to them as well, which we have done. We have done in the past 2 games. We have done, you know, against Man City at times and Liverpool at times. So, you know, even the best sides, you know, you can't just sit in and just, you know, sit on the edge of the box. That's not our the way we play. So when it's our time to go and play and cause them problems, we've got to do that and get that balance right.
Okay, yeah, that's it from me. Thanks.
Thank you.
Rob Staten.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Chris. 7 of your defeats so far have been by just a single goal.
Cheers.
But does that highlight the fine margins so far and the potential to convert some of these games into points that are coming up?
I believe so, Rob. You know, the league table doesn't look great for anybody connected to this football club. And it's difficult in this world of coverage that we have on the Premier League to get away from it. I think, you know, 409 has not been my favourite channel over the last 2 months. So Gravesy will understand that. But you can't get away from it. But you know, it's about turning those small losses into draws, and then sort of, you know, couple of draws that we've had into wins or losing positions into wins now. Because I think we could have quite easily done that. And but you know, it's not about we can take a degree of confidence and belief from those stats and the stats that we have in our stats, you know, physical stats, you know, tactical stats that we've got, and just, you know, the human eye that I'm seeing when I'm watching us against West Brom and I'm watching us against West Ham and I'm watching us against Leeds and Villa and Man City and Liverpool, to say there's not a lot in that game that, you know, on another day we could have got something from it, but we have to accept that we haven't, and try to affect what's in front of us, and that's got to be our biggest challenge, Rob.
And how determined are your players to prove that they can provide the goals that you need? You know, that they can start taking these chances.
Mate, they're so determined. They're so determined. You know, they're such a tight group. They're so determined to do well. You know, is that affecting us? That they're so determined to do well. You know, I remember. I think that there was we played AFC Wimbledon in our League One campaign, and there was a tweet that had come out that got passed to me saying something like, you know, at last the team that leaves everything out on the pitch, and that sort of hit home to me what hadn't happened at this football club for quite a long time. That, you know, that the group had to be honest and had to leave everything out there, and if we fall short with a lack of ability, a concentration lapse, or a bit of, you know, quality from the opposition, then sometimes you have to hold your hand up. If teams above us say yes, they're quite difficult to stop. You know, if Chelsea are in form and we're in form, without being negative, that should really, with everything that goes with Chelsea and the history and where they're at as a moment as a football club and where we're at as a football club, that really should result in a Chelsea win. Not always, but it should result in a Chelsea win. So, you know, week in, week out, we're up against that quality. But we have to give ourselves an opportunity by our attitude. And our attitude's been spot on. Been absolutely spot on. At times the play hasn't, the finishing hasn't, a couple of bits tactically haven't, technically haven't. A bounce of a ball, which I believe hasn't gone our way. But the thing that, you know, that I won't accept is maybe people talking about players not leaving it out there. It's not what I believe we're about, and I think you'll understand if I did see that, if I did see people that didn't fancy it, got the white flag up, you know, were hiding, then I think that I'd flag that up. I'd flag that up and deal with that accordingly. But they're hurting, and and they're determined. They're so determined, Rob. But they've got to take that determination and balance it out as well with composure. So that's the balance that I'm looking for between the determination, the aggression, the competitiveness, and the composure and the time to play and pick the right pass, pick the right cross, pick the right finish, make the right decision that ultimately gives you the opportunity of getting results.
Thanks, Chris. All the best.
Cheers, Rob. Thanks.
We're going to the Scribblers. Do you want to kick off, Nath?
Hey, Nath.